Live.
Okay, see you.
Come back. Perfect. Hello, everybody. We are back again with another beginner level appliance repair. So I am Sarah. Chris is behind the camera right now. He is our resident repair expert. So he is going to be walking me through changing a burner switch on a range. So that is this guy here. So I am going to learn how to take the control panel off, open it up, replace the switch. So if your element isn't turning on, not getting hot, this buddy might be the issue. All right.
Alrighty. Hey, everybody. So yeah, Sarah's going to be changing a burner switch or infinite switch or surface switch. You hear it called all the same thing, but that's the same job. So basically, these knobs, you simply push and turn the burner on. Now, push and turn is something that showed up in the last 10, 15 years because it's a safety feature so that you can't just bump the knob and kids just can't bump the knob and turn your stove on. So you have to do that push and turn thing. So Sarah, this stove is live. So the first thing we want to do is, of course,
unplug it.
Right.
Okay.
So I'll pull it out. And just pull that sucker out of the wall here. Pretty tight. Well done. Now, if your stove is it's hardwired in, then you just got to go to your fuse panel and turn off your circuit breakers for your range. If you don't have breakers, you've got fuses, you'll take your fuses out. So we're just going to turn this side. Which one are we going to change, Sarah?
This guy.
Okay. So the easiest way to remember, because as we go to do this, we'll be working behind the stove. So maybe it's just me, but for a mental note, I knew which one I was changing. I would take the knob off the switch I was going to change.
Just pull it straight off.
Straight off. You better.
This is literally the easiest DIY repair you could do if you end up cracking a burner knob. We sell the parts. So you just go to our website, find the knob that you need, and literally just push it back on. You do not need to call a professional.
That's right. That's right.
That is all it is.
Yeah, Sarah's right. It's one of the most easiest. Especially these ones use metal knobs and plastic insert. A lot of the ranges that still use knobs are plastic, and they will over time get brittle and crack and split, and they just will fall off in your hand. So yeah, very easy to change. Okay, I'll turn this sucker around without running you over, hopefully. Alrighty.
So the reason I'm doing this repair is we're trying to show that doing your own appliance and home maintenance isn't difficult. Chris is a professional. He's been doing it longer than I've been alive. And
thanks.
he makes it look easy. But I am someone who is not experienced in this, but have access to resources like how-to articles and videos. So we're showing that you can do this yourself with a little bit of instructional help along the way.
Exactly. That's our whole purpose, and the way we've designed our website to try and provide as many resources as possible. So you're more than prepared and capable of doing most of the repairs on your appliances.
And you don't need anything fancy.
No, not for this.
Got screwdriver, pliers. That's it.
That's pretty much all you're going to need.
Another screwdriver.
Yeah.
All right, so it's been unplugged, we took the knob off.
Yep.
We're now taking this back.
Yep.
Off the range. Okay. This guy.
Yeah.
So this whole top.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah. So in some ranges, the back will be all one piece. If you need to get at the components up here, you need to take the entire back off. This particular manufacturer, it uses two different pieces so that this piece can stay, the lower piece, and the upper piece where the controls are can come off. So it makes it a little bit easier to manage.
Should I be doing this one side at a time, or?
It doesn't matter. You're going to wind up that when you go to take the next screw out, this is going to try and swing one way or the other. So you just want to support it one way or the other. I'll give you an answer. No word. So some of the reasons you may be looking at needing to replace your infinite switch is either your burner won't come on at all, or you find over time you'll set your burner to be on low or similar, but the element just comes on high and stays there no matter where you set it. So either of those things happen, it's a good chance it's your switch. The other thing that we'll change these for occasionally is that you turn the burner on and the indicator light on your console no longer shows that the burner's on, even though it is. So those reasons are the typical ones that you'll use to give you the reason for to do this repair.
I'm not left-handed.
Yeah,
There we go.
That's a shame. That's great. So these metal panels, the manufacturer just stamps them out in their manufacturing process. They don't finish the edges. So when you do this, you do have to be aware that these edges can be sharp. So it's easier to work without gloves, but if you do have a pair of gloves, a pair of work style gloves, it's ideal to be wearing them just so you can protect it. But you can certainly work without them. You just got to be careful so you handle that some of these edges are sharp.
We're going to take a brief pause in our current repair to answer a question.
Okay.
Perfect. All right, so 2 seconds here. This viewer has a dishwasher question.
Okay.
A plastic spatula dropped down into the heating element during a cycle and is practically fused to the element.
Okay.
How do they get that out of the dishwasher?
Okay, that happens. So if the plastic spatula, it's melted to the element. Really, you're just going to have to, once the dishwasher is completely cooled off, and it probably is by now, and nothing else in it, take out that lower rack, and you're just physically going to have to pull that spatula off the element. You'll have to wiggle a little bit, apply some pressure. It will break free. Now, there may be a little bit of the plastic that remains stuck to the element, and you can try and scrape that off. Using a knife or something like that carefully so you don't cut yourself. Or just put your dishwasher into a dry cycle. The element will come on and it'll heat that plastic and it will probably just melt it off and drip into the bottom. Or it may even tend to give a really unpleasant smell and you may get a little bit of smoke from it. But if you're doing a normal wash cycle, and the element comes on to heat the water in your dry cycle, you'll probably not notice anything from it, but it can happen. But just be grateful it was a plastic spatula, because for those of you who have dishwashers with plastic outer tubs, if that had been a spoon or a fork or any other kind of metal object, it would go down, lay on the heater, lay on that plastic tub, and it would literally melt a hole through the bottom of your tub, and you get water all over the floor. And the price of a tub, you're probably looking at a new dishwasher. So great question.
Great. We now resume our regular programming. But if anyone has questions, I know we're working on a range today. That was a dishwasher question. If you want to know about your laundry machines, your lawn mower, Chris is our expert on all those topics and how to maintain them, how to fix them, how to troubleshoot them. So we are here to help. So pop them in the comments and we will take question breaks so that I can figure out what I'm doing.
There you go. There you go. Well, you're all set.
All right.
Yeah. So which one is it?
It's now on this side. This is the guy that we pulled off. So it's going to be this switch right here.
All right.
This is where I get the pliers.
Yeah. So one of the things you'll find as you go to do stuff like this is the wires are all different colors. So we can actually come in right close.
Get closer.
Nobody really needs to see me. But they want to see what you're doing. So so everything is color coded. And they're designed, these terminals, just to pull straight off. You use your pliers to do that. The thing is, you'll want to somehow give yourself a reference point when you want to put the wires back on. So there's a couple ways we can do this. One, we can take the 2 screws out of the front that hold the switch on, bring the switch out, and if you're replacing the switch, you have a new one, you can hold the 2 of them together and pull the wire off one and put it on the other. So that you're going, wire for wire individually. So you shouldn't have any issue as far as getting confused. But the other thing I recommend is you may find you're doing something and you get interrupted. Something's taking your attention away from this, whether it's answering questions or, the dog is in the living room, chewing up your favorite pillow. So it's always a good idea to either take a piece of paper and just mark the different locations on your diagram as to what color wire went to which terminal. Or the easiest thing to do today is just take a picture with your smartphone at the back here, and then you can refer to it so I know, okay, this particular little blue wire went to the top left-hand corner according to my picture. So that just makes it a little bit helpful. All right, Sarah.
We're using my smartphone to stream this, so
Okay,
we're gonna have to break out a bit.
I'll let you invest in my phone today to snap a picture of that.
Or I suppose you could you look at the other switches and follow that, or are they all mirrored?
Man, that is a perfect question. So at one point, all stoves had the similar looking switch. So you're right, you could look at one or the other. The only thing you'll find is
Extra.
there's some of them have extra. Some of them will use color-coded wires for the location of the element. So this particular element might use red and black, where another element is going to use purple and green. Well, not green because that's brown, but purple and red. So it's really best you just get a sense of the particular switch you're working on by either taking a picture or a diagram, or again, if you were able to hold the new switch next to the old switch and just pull and transfer the
One for
wires.
one. Okay.
So if all these 4 switches were the same, they would all look like this. But they're
running. And there's 4 up here.
exactly.
Okay, so that's not a good comparison.
That's not a good comparison. Or if these were physically all the same, they all look the same, they're all going to be different part numbers. These switches are rated to the element. So the amount of wattage or current that these elements draw, the switch has to be the right switch for that. Okay, so this particular one, I'll see if I can get this in focus for everybody to see.
It's good on phone 1.
All
Gotta
right, we'll move over to phone 2.
back a little. There we go.
There we go. So you'll see there's some information on it. Okay, so it gives you some current ratings. This one is 8.9 to 11 amps. So if I was to take this same switch and put it on a different element, the element wouldn't heat properly. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is you don't need to worry about all that information on the side. Just know that when you go to order a switch, you need to make sure you're ordering the right switch for the burner that it controls. So when you look at your parts breakdown, if it's a left front or a right rear, you need, when you look at your breakdown, to look for the switch for that location. That way you can ensure that you've got the right switch that pairs up with the element that's giving you trouble. Okay, so that's something that's really important to know. I suppose I'll show you I'll just give you a quick little blurb as to how these switches work. So inside the switch, this area here where my thumb is, I'll switch those over to the different ones. This little arm is actually operating a set of contacts so that when you turn the switch on, the contacts close and the element comes on. Now, built into the switch is what they call a bimetal. A bimetal is two different types of metal bonded together, and they wrap a wire around it that they electrify. So it's a heater. So the heater heats up the little metal strip, and when you heat two dissimilar metals, they expand at different rates. So it forces the metal to bend. So that allows it to bend to close the contacts, take the power away from that heater, the strip cools and it pulls the contacts open. And that's how an infinite switch works. The little heater is what's used to force the contacts open and closed. And the amount you turn your knob to turn it to a higher number changes the pressure on that spring. So the heater has to be on longer to give your element a chance to be on longer. So it's all really cool how they do it. Again, it's that little bimetal with a heater on it, and it does a lot of great stuff as far as making these switches work. And that's why it'll sometimes fail. That's why it'll stay on high all the time, even though you had it set for low. So that's how the little buggers work. And over time, they will go. And ones that typically go is your switch for your big burner, because you use it all the time. And the burner you use for, your tea or your coffee to keep it warm. That's the other one that'll tend to frequently go, because it's the one that's being used the most. Okay, I'm going to be quiet now, and Sarah, you're going to take over and do your swap.
So a switch failing doesn't have anything to do with how aggressively, that would be more breaking the knob. It's how often it's being turned on or off is what's going to result. Okay. Yep. All right. So now we're grabbing the pliers.
Yep.
Okay. You took a picture.
I took a picture.
Phone. Okay.
Yep.
I'm going to see. So we got blue and orange, black and red and yellow. Okay. We will see how good our memory game is.
Okay.
So everything that's on the physical one needs to be pulled off, right?
Yep.
Everything that's connected?
Yep.
And should I try?
You can.
Or is it better just?
It's almost better to grab it with your pliers and pull it straight back.
Damage anything. This is the one part about DIY that makes me a little nervous, is I don't want to, oh, there we go.
You don't want
further damage while I'm trying to repair something.
Well, even the most seasoned technicians, there's days when that will happen. So don't worry about that.
Okay.
So the important thing here that's good to make notice of is Sarah's using the pliers, and she's having to use a fair bit of pull in order to get those wires off of the terminals. That's a really good thing. If they popped off really easy, that would mean that connection is not as tight as it should be. Good job. So when you have an electrical connection that's not really tight, there's the potential for a loose connection for the electricity to be able to go from the wire to the switch to that connection and get to the point where it's actually having to sort of jump through the air a little bit. So it'll start to arc, which is the same as making a little spark.
Okay. Ignore my sound effects, guys. It's fine.
I didn't hear you swear, so that's good. So you'll wind up with a bad connection, which tends to overheat, and that will eventually get to the point where it overheats the terminal and weakens it, so it's not making good contact, or eventually no contact whatsoever. It'll also, in some cases, melt the wire that's connected to it, and it can even burn and arc the terminal that it's being slid on, so you have no other opportunity to do anything other than replace the switch. So if any of your connections are really loose coming off, when you go to put them back on, you'll want to snap them up.
Okay, this is where we get the expert advice.
Okay.
The little silicone bit is coming out, but the actual terminal is like stuck on. Do you have any tips for that?
Which one are we talking about?
This guy here, like I can pull the cover off.
Okay.
But it's staying on, the wire harness is staying on there.
Okay, so now just reach in with your pliers so you're right there where the metal is of the terminal and grab it there and
again, this
squeeze.
Is me being scared of damaging
it.
No,
that's a good thing. There you go. Sometimes you just got to give it a little extra force. And again, that's a good sign.
Okay. So is this screwed into place or is it just floating?
It is. It's screwed in place. And when you took off the knob, there would have been 2 screws in behind that knob on the console.
On the front side. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So those 2 screws is what you're going to want to remove.
All right. It's not gonna just fall out of the.
It will.
Oh, okay, fun.
So you
Well,
want
good
to
thing
take
we're replacing it anyways.
one out. Maybe I should turn this so folks can see you doing that.
My little T-Rex arms will reach. It's fine.
Okay.
Okay. Maybe we can reach. We're just gonna give the range a big hug. Okay.
All right.
There.
Ta-da!
And she's done.
Yep, that's.
Well, it's out. Now we have to put the new one in and do every step in reverse.
Yep. So there is one thing to make note of too, is we talked about being sure which wire went where. The next thing you want to also keep in mind is when you go to put your switch back in, that you mount it the way it's supposed to be. So in this case, it's like that. You wouldn't want to mount it this way. 2 reasons. The knob won't line up. You want to make sure you have that switch. I had held this too close to one phone and not the other. So if I mounted this upside down, the knob wouldn't line up to the off point properly. And the other thing it is that these are designed to have a certain amount of airflow move across this section here in order for that heater wire to keep the right temperature for bending that bimetal. So if it was upside down, you would find that the air moving over it wasn't having the same effect, and it would throw the calibration of the switch off by quite a bit. So what you used to set at medium in order to keep a simmer would suddenly either not be keeping the water at a simmer, it wouldn't get hot enough, or it would start to boil. So you just want to make sure you put the switch back in the same position that you took out. Okay.
All right, so you have the old one.
Yep.
I have the new one. No, okay, it was 2 on the top, 3 on the bottom.
Yep.
So in this case, I'm going to put the new switch in, screw it into place, and then connect all the wire harnesses?
It's whichever way you want to do it. Been doing it for years. It just sort of depends on the location, the lighting, as to which is easier. So whichever way you think you'd be comfortable.
Okay,
You can-
okay, these 2 screws are. This was also, you should organize, if you're taking multiple screws out of an appliance, organize them by where they came out of the machine.
Now, that's a really good idea.
Because I have them all mingled here, but thankfully 2 of these are different,
Okay.
so.
All right, well, I'm going to turn the stove a little bit on you
Okay.
and bring it out, and I'll make the cameras follow so people can see what you're attempting to do and how you're going to do it. All right.
Right there, does it?
Yeah, that's good.
All right.
So now we can see what you're doing on the front.
Yeah, so here was, we took the knob is still here.
Yep.
Switch is in my hand.
Yep.
This is the shaft that the knob fits onto. And what do we say? 2 on the top, 3 on the bottom. Okay.
Yep.
So now is the fun game of, can we line the screws up where they need to actually go with my, as I'm doing this backwards. I'll get to look at the back of my head for a bit. Get it threaded in there to start.
There you go. And Sarah, you're doing that just right. You got the first screw started, but you didn't tighten it up, which was great because that allows you the flexibility of, wiggling that switch into position for the second screw to go in.
They're so tiny.
So if worst come to worst, you've maybe taken the switch out, or it's been a while since you've done it, or the screws got misplaced, or you lost one of the screws. If you're looking to get a replacement screw and you've got a jar full of screws at home and you're trying to find the right one, it's important you get the right thread. But the other thing you have to make sure is it's no longer than what the screw is supposed to be. If it's too long and you were to put it in, it'll thread in, but there's a very good chance that that longer screw, the tip of it will wind up touching something electrical inside, and really bad things happen when you do that. Plug it in and turn it on. There'll be a large bang, a little flash of light, and the switch will be ruined, and you may even actually wind up with some discoloration on your console. So don't lose the screws, and if you do replace them, make sure they match exactly.
Magnetic tip screwdriver makes this a lot easier.
It does.
Lesson learned.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing this with my non-dominant hand, so it's taking me a minute. All right, she's attached.
Perfect. Perfect.
I think.
So
yeah, she's good.
At this point, you could actually put the knob on so that you know that you've got it in the right position, so that if you did happen to mount it upside down, you'd be aware now instead of later.
Is this the right? This is the right question. Everything I've just achieved. It doesn't seem.
So you'll notice on that shaft, it has a groove on one side.
Yeah.
And on the inside of your knob, you'll see there's a little tab in the center that should line up.
Finding it. We have a groove.
Right?
I have a groove here. Why aren't you? I started the stream saying this was the easiest job, and now I'm struggling with it.
Well, with the new switch, the spring might be a little stiffer.
Is there a D-clip that's supposed to be? Not fitting. I'm gonna get the professional in.
Oh, well. I know. So again, that was just a matter of Sarah being a little
scared of it?
Scared of pushing too hard on it. And yeah, anyway, it does go on just right. You can try that again, because you'll see that it does fit, and you just don't hesitate to apply that pressure. There you go.
Okay. Now that it's
Yep.
been told. Oh, was it? There we go.
Yep. And you're lined up in the off position.
Okay.
Yep.
Perfect.
Very good.
We're not plugged in, but we're going to avoid burning or electrocuting ourselves today.
That's right.
Okay. So now we got to attach all the wire harnesses. Okay.
Okay.
We'll do a little pirouette here.
There we go.
Ta-da.
Get in as close as you can so we can see what Sarah's doing.
Okay. So we had 2 on the top and 3 on, and I remember it was black, red, and yellow was on the bottom. Orange and blue were on the top. And I think it was this way. But we can refer to the handy photo that we took of 10 minutes ago.
So for those of you who have a memory, that's really great. But for those like myself, need to have a picture to follow.
Yep, so it was blue and then orange and then black, red, yellow. So they mostly stayed in their designated order. So we are good here. Is this something where they can just be pushed on?
Just pushed on.
Okay,
and
so you don't need to break out the...
No, you don't need the pliers. You can just...
Get it right in there.
Now, if it's really hard and it's, the metal prongs that are on it a little hard on the hands, then you can certainly use your pliers to push them on. And like I said it before, if any of these just slide right on, and easily pull right off again, then you'd want to take your pliers and just squeeze the terminal a little bit.
This part's going a lot easier than when I had to
yeah.
remove them.
Yeah.
But they seem like they're in there.
Very good.
All right. Electrical work.
Terrific.
Easy peasy. All right, so now it's putting, is there one, when we have the back of your range open, is there anything else you should look for?
Well, good question.
Like
So
nothing seems to be sooty or on fire.
Well, that's a good,
previously on fire.
And that's a good thing. But no, that's
just dusty, but
so it is. It's a good point to just take a quick look at the other switches where the wires go on, and just make sure that you're not seeing anything melted or starting to get a blackish color where it may be trying to overheat and melt. So it's just a little preventative maintenance at that point. But that's a great idea.
Perfect.
All righty. So your back panel can go back on.
Gotta find that again. Right. screws. And it was just the 4. They were just along the side, weren't they?
Yeah.
Nothing here has to.
That's right.
Does it lock in place, or is it just kind of?
I would try and get those. There you go.
Okay.
That's perfect.
We gotta say a guideline here.
Yeah.
And again, I'm sure all of this, you know, help her at home, but it's not heavy. It's just awkward.
And part of it being awkward is you're trying so hard to hold everything just right, not mark anything up.
And not further break
And not
whatever it
further
is
break.
I'm fixing.
And if you were to do this every day, it would just be, you know, zip, zip, zip and be all good. So there's no harm in taking your time and looking to make sure you're protecting yourself and your appliance.
What's happened?
That happens. That happens a lot. That's why most of us that carried a toolbox would have a section with a whole bunch of spare screws in it for the ones that rolled under the fridge and we couldn't find. Yeah, that happens. Oh, of course we found it. Yes, we would always go find the screw and put it back. Maybe.
Just a little surprise for later. All right. I'll tighten these all up.
Yep. And they just need to be hand tight. If you're using a cordless screw gun, I find them great for taking screws out. Putting the back in, I'm a little hesitant. I prefer usually to put them in by hand with a hand screwdriver, just so that I don't over tighten or strip. The metal that these go into, because of the way they make stuff today, is not as thick as it used to be. So you do risk, you know, if you were to come onto it with a screw gun, you would strip the hole out, and then you know, now you're running around trying to find a bigger screw in order to hold things in place.
And this back panel's necessary, like there's air vents and everything in it, so the airflow
That's right.
is obviously important, but
Yeah.
the whole panel's
Yep.
needed.
Yeah. Oh yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. Yeah. Airflow is an important thing, and even, you know, there's times when you'll pull the stove out, as we did here today, and you'll find, in some cases, just the layout of the home, that they wind up attracting a lot of dust. So if there is, you'll want to take your vacuum and just vacuum that off. No. No.
Easy. All right. Can you plug her back in and see if I.
Yeah. Yeah. Plug her in. I'll take her tools off the top.
If it doesn't. Moment of truth.
I have every confidence in you. All right.
Well,
Everything's
we got a digital
lighting up.
display, so-
Yep.
Oop.
Now we just need to set the clock.
Apparently the burner's been on this whole time.
Ah,
Heating up, so the
Okay.
switch works, but. How do we turn it off now? Isn't it off?
ah.
Did I put it on upside down?
No, you didn't.
Okay.
No, even if you did, it would be over here. So that switch that we put in isn't the identical switch to the one that came out.
Noted.
Looked the same, looked identical, but.
So
the
check your
numbers-
part numbers, everyone.
And that's why we did this, so you can see how important it is that when you that you make sure that you get the right one for your model. If not, you'll wind up with that situation. And being an electrical part, it's very difficult to return an electrical part that's been installed. So it's critical to get the right one for your stove based on your model number and based on the location of the burner you're looking to replace, whether it's left front, right rear, and that prevents getting into this same kind of trouble. But even as it is.
So in this case, do as we say, not as we did.
Yeah. So let's just look at another burner just for fun. Let's look at this front one. I'm just going to throw it up on high. So just for information's sakes, this stove, like many glass top stoves, has a hot surface light. So that's
Let me
what's
get
on there
closer.
now. If you
We'll
will.
get a little.
Yeah. So the hot
Alright.
surface light is really an important safety feature. So that if I turn the burner off and the indicator light goes off, that hot surface light is still on. That's to warn you that if you were to come in, that there's still heat there. So you need to be aware. And that's all controlled. This is a surface burner that you would find inside the stove. And if that little light is a problem, it's because of this sensor that's in the element.
So that's what notifies it that it's still hot.
That's
or not.
right.
Even if the switch isn't on,
That's right.
that still
Yeah.
tells you.
So this rod is actually part of a thermostat, and it expands when it's heated, and it operates the contacts in here. And there's two sets of contacts. The first one is to turn on that hot light. So when the element gets hot, the rod expands, closes the contacts, turns on the hot light. If for something goes wrong and this element starts to overheat, to protect the glass top, they give a safety switch. So if this continues to expand more than it should in normal use, as in, the switch sticks on, then this contact is going to open and shut the element down to protect your stove. So that's what's working in the background. So if you have a problem with the hot light staying on, most times it's the element, not the switch. And on some of these elements, you can get this piece separate if it's a problem. But in other stoves, it comes all as one assembly. The thermostat and the element are all one. Okay. Wasn't that exciting?
Yeah, so now we know how to change over a burner switch and the importance of making sure you order the correct one for the correct location. Uh, Again, easy enough DIY repair for someone to do.
Yeah. And if you think about what it would cost to have a technician come to your home to do the service call, and one of the issues you'll run into today is nobody hates to be without a burner, especially if you've got, a large family and you're using multiple burners on a regular basis. Because these switches are so model and location specific, you can never carry all the switches you would need to fix all the stoves for all the locations on your service truck. You would need $1 million worth of 1,000 infinite switches on your truck in order to be able prepared to fix it the same day. So it's really, you can expect somebody to show up and order the part and then have to come back a second time. And if you have to leave work in order to come home to let a technician in, there's more time lost on your part, and everybody's life is pretty busy. So it's hard to make one appointment, let alone two. Now, good technicians out there will try and make sure they have your model number and confirm with you which element it is that's a problem so that they can maybe bring it with them. But the reality is it still costs money to have a technician come in and replace that switch. So you're going to wind up paying for the switch no matter what, but now you're paying a service call and the labor to put it in when you can see just how easy it is to change yourself. And you don't have to be in a rush. You don't have to worry about doing it as fast as a technician would. You can just take your time, watch one of our videos that show you how to do it, and just go step by step. And you can save yourself a lot of money, and your part can be delivered right to your home, right to your door. So don't be afraid, you can do it. Just always safety first. Make sure you turn off the power, and away you go.
Before I did this repair, I watched our video through once to get the lay of the land. I had my on-site expert to help, but the plus side to a YouTube video is you can just pause it and start it, slow it down as many times as you need.
Exactly.
And if you're really stuck, you can just leave a comment and we'll get this guy to respond to you.
Yep. Yeah, we'll do whatever we can to help you through your repair for sure. And that's whether it's on ranges, washers, dryers, or your outdoor equipment, even your kitchen mixer. We'll find you the information you need to do all your repairs. I think there was a question there about a fridge, was there not?
Do we have a fridge question?
I think so.
Oh, it was, someone's looking for a stream on evaporators as a topic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that would be fun. Refrigerator, we're now talking about evaporators in a refrigerator. I think this particular one was a dual evaporator LG.
Yeah,
Bill?
sealed system, 2
Yeah.
evaporators.
Yeah, so that's something that's becoming more and more common now. At one time, almost every fridge was one evaporator, and that cold air was circulated to the 2 different compartments. Today's world, you're seeing more and more refrigerators with an evaporator coil in the freezer and a second one in the refrigerator section. This allows the manufacturer to basically be running 2 separate compartments, completely separated and individual, much easier to control temperatures in one or the other. So you're seeing this technology being put in place. To do that, they need some really cool things like a 3-way valve in order to switch the effort of the compressor to move the refrigerant from to one evaporator to the other. But yeah, maybe we'll put that on our list, and we'll get one of those here, and we'll show you how that operates and why they do it and how they do it, because it's pretty cool. It's pretty neat technology, and it really does. If you have that feature, it makes your fridge very energy efficient and gives you very good temperature control for those individual compartments. So it's pretty neat to see.
We are here every 2 weeks doing these repair live streams for beginners. So again, trying to help fellow homeowners learn how to do basic things around their house.
Yeah.
So next, in 2 weeks' time, we're going to give a line trimmer some TLC.
Mhm.
It is yard maintenance season, so
Yes, it is.
we're going to look at some small engines, some restringing a line trimmer.
Yep.
Just some basic use and care.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's anything we can do to help you, take the stress and the trouble out of, looking after your own equipment. That's what we're here for.
And again, showing you that it's not that hard to take something apart and put it back together the correct way.
Exactly. And we'll show you the things that can go wrong when you try to do it.
Like a switch.
Yeah. Which was, the example we wanted to show, because it can happen so easily. And that's why it's so critical. The switch is probably, price-wise, everything's gone up. So, I mean, it's a fairly expensive switch, less than some of the other components in the stove, but still, you want to make sure you get the right one. So you're not installing the wrong part, and then you have trouble doing a return and getting a replacement.
Perfect. All right. So if you have topics you want to learn about, pop them in the comment section, and we'll be back in another 2 weeks' time with another repair. Have a great weekend.
That's great. Well done, Sarah. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.